Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Dropping Knowledge with Noah. And this is going to be a solo pod as part of maybe an upcoming series where I talk about, what top performing dealers do that you don't. And really just kind of going into my experience working with literally thousands of dealerships nationwide and what I've seen the top performing dealerships do that others don't. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background. Maybe you don't know much about me, but I've spent about 14 years in the automotive industry, specifically working for Cox Automotive. Now, here's the big disclaimer. I have never worked at a dealership. I tried to work at one, and I didn't get the job about 17 years ago. But I have worked with at least 1,000, if not more, dealerships nationwide in every different capacity when it comes to digital marketing. From the top performing Toyota dealership in the nation selling, 3,000 plus cars a month, to your tiny little CDJR dealerships that maybe sell a couple dozen, and kind of everything in between. Big major groups, small groups, single points, you name it. I've talked to that kind of dealership. And in my time, I've also trained probably over 100 different people on digital marketing best practices internally, so they could become digital advisors or performance managers. I've managed huge advertising teams. I've traveled the country and talked to hundreds of dealerships in person about digital marketing strategies. So I can identify a lot of trends in this space. So I'm going to kind of carry out and dive into some of the key trends that I see most dealerships that are performing well doing those versus those that don't. Now, here's the thing too is you could actually be doing pretty well as far as sales numbers go because you're in a major metro area, you've got a good location, and a lot of foot traffic to your dealership, but you could be missing out on a lot of opportunities with just a few simple tweaks to your digital marketing strategy. So hopefully we dive into this, gives you a couple of key things that help you out and take your dealership to that next level. So let's dive into it, and we'll focus first on the website, right? It's your digital showroom. And the dealerships that really perform well in this space, they simplify and optimize their website. So they focus on three key pages, right? Number one is going to be your home page. Number two is going to be your search results page. Number three is going to be your vehicle details pages. Those are your money makers. Those are the things that shoppers want to see and are really critical for you to dial in. So let's focus on the home page. Home page, all right? That is where customers have their first impression of you. And honestly, they only spend about 20 seconds on that homepage. So really the goal of a homepage is not to convert, right? Because maybe they just want to get your phone number or contact you. So you got to have those phone numbers at the top. That's table stakes. Everybody's got that. Really want to make a good first impression and get people to where they want to go quickly. So how can you make a good first impression? Number one, it's high quality, big imagery, right? Whether it's of your dealership, of a hot model, customers shaking hands with salespeople, that kind of thing. Really simple, right? Have a model selector and have it personalized. So you want to be able to have that website show that shopper what they're interested in. So, I'm going to shameless plug coxautomotivedealer.com. What we can do is we understand what that shopper's interested in so we can show them specials for that vehicle that they're interested in, show them vehicles that we know that they're interested in. The other thing too is key when the homepage is in discussion, really kind of around the website in general, is your navigation. You want to make sure the navigation is pretty simple and it has your top pages easy to navigate to. One thing I see a lot of dealerships do is they build out a ton of pages for SEO, right? Which is great. You want to have a lot of content on your site when it comes to SEO, but you don't want to list them all in your navigation because what happens is we're going to run into what we call the paradox of choice. People lose what they're trying to find, right? Maybe they're just trying to get to new inventory or your specials or whatever, but then there's 50 options. Makes it hard for them to find the info that they're looking for. And, well, they bounce off and go somewhere else. The other thing, too, is you want to have a heavy focus on your mobile site. All honesty, 65 to 70% of your traffic to your website is coming from mobile. So make sure that your mobile site is dialed. If anything, you want to spend more attention, time, and effort on your mobile site, making sure it looks dialed in. And once again, we're talking about the homepage. So great first impression, get people to where they want to go quickly. Next, let's talk about the search results page. That's your digital lot in literal terms, right? what we want to do here is help people find their perfect car as quickly as possible. So a couple of things here. A lot of dealerships think, oh, I want a lot of calls to action on this page, right? So we want to have, request test drive, put in your trade in, finance application, all this other stuff. Once again, that clutters things up. And you're going to hear this term over and over again when I'm talking about this, is less clutter is good, right? We want to have less options means higher conversion. So maybe one or two calls to action on your listings, on your SRP. You want to have photos of your vehicle, so custom photos dramatically increase the likelihood that something vehicle is going to have a lead within the next 30 days. And the other thing too, when you're looking at a website platform, is you want to be able to scroll through the photos of a vehicle before having to click through to a VDP. That saves your shoppers a lot of time when they're investigating vehicles, because the first thing that they want to check out when they're evaluating a vehicle are photos, right? It's the hottest spot when we're using our eye tracking technology. So if you're looking at a website platform, make sure that on mobile you can scroll through photos of that vehicle without having to go to a VDP. Now you will see it might actually drop your VDP views, but it'll actually decrease the time to conversion for your shoppers, because they're figuring out which vehicle is right for them, because they can see, oh, this has got the brown interior that I'm looking for versus the black one, or it's got a manual transmission. They're looking for that stick shift inside of the photos first. Let's talk about that SRP a little bit more. You want to have a free-form search. You want to have some chips that get people to where they want to go quickly and easily. And you want to have some functions that allow people to compare vehicles side by side, making it really easy to figure out which vehicle is right for them. All right, next up, let's talk about that VDP. Okay, I'm going to go back to my theme here, simplify and optimize. So photos, big priority, right? Take custom photos of all of your vehicles. I'm still seeing in 2025 dealerships not taking custom photos of their vehicles and just leaving their new vehicles up there with a stock photo. Don't do it, right? Pay the extra money. Get somebody to take some photos of your cars, because it will pay off in the long run. You're going to get way more leads, you're going to get higher quality customers, and you're going to sell more cars when you have custom photos. And make sure that they're high quality. Don't park the car in front of the dumpster behind the dealership. Make sure you've got a pretty good background, or use a background removal tool to make sure that vehicle looks professional and you're doing a good job. High quality, high res images pay off in the long run. All right, let's talk about calls to action. You want to simplify, right? So way back in the Stone Age, back when I was an account manager, I worked with a major, top 5 dealer group. What we did was we cut down the number of calls to action they had on their VDPs from about 8 to 3, and we saw close to a 30% increase in form conversion rate across all of their stores. When you cut down on the number of calls to action, it drives up the conversion rate, because when you have too many options for a shopper, they are less likely to take action. It's called the paradox of choice. When you have too many choices, your shoppers are less likely to make a choice. So cut down the number of choices that they have, and they are going to convert at a higher level and be a higher quality lead. You also want to incorporate a digital retailing solution, allow people to pencil those deals in advance so that when they do come in, they've completed more steps of that process at the convenience of their own home before they come into the dealership. It's going to save shopper time. It's going to mean you're closing more deals at a higher gross profit with happier customers. Dial in your in-store processes. Make sure your people are trained on how to handle those digital retailing leads. And pro tip, every lead should get a digital retailing link so they can start that deal at home. All right, let's talk about comments. We want to make sure we have got good comments. Reviews are a really good point there when it comes to the VDP. And once again, we want to keep it simple. Don't throw a bunch of pop-ups or anything like that at that shopper. Simplify and optimize. Keep that in the back of your head. All right, what next? Let's talk about digital advertising, right? Okay, let's say you dialed in your website. It's awesome. Looks good. Your homepage is dialed in. Your SRP is dialed in. Your VDP is dialed in. You've got a really killer SEO strategy. Now we want to expand out digital advertising. So the top performing dealerships, they adopt a multi-channel, data-powered and measurable approach. So paid search. It is still the bread and butter of this industry. We're talking like 70% of the ad dollars spent in digital still going into paid search. Google is still king in this space. I'm not sure for how much longer with ChatGPT coming into the picture, but right now, right, paid search is killing it. And really, you can think of it this way. Paid search goes after your lowest funnel shoppers, the people who are looking for what you have to sell. You want to make sure that you have your bases covered with paid search and SEO, right? You want to have a really solid SEO strategy in addition to your paid search strategy. So what does that mean? All right, SEO, the best time to start an SEO strategy is 10 years ago. The second best time is to start today, right? So if you're not investing in SEO in any way, get on it because it's your lowest funnel shoppers and it gives you the highest bang for your buck. Paid search is next when it comes to that because when you have really good results in paid search and really good results in SEO, it actually magnifies your impact and gives you like 2 to 3 times the amount of traffic that you normally would with just an SEO strategy or paid search strategy. Now, great. Paid search, you've got it covered, right? You're maxing out your impression share. You've got really good campaigns. You want to make sure you're using like machine learning. You want to have a partner that uses a lot of data to understand your market and target people and to use data to inform the ad copy that you're running and make sure that your campaigns are running effectively and getting the most out of your daily ad spend, your spend through rate. So if you're dedicating $5,000 to your monthly campaigns, you're spending that $5,000. But what next? All right, retargeting. Really simple. Those are going after your digital B-backs. Those are your shoppers who visited your site, had to bounce off, right? Go off for whatever they're at work. They needed to switch tabs because their boss came up behind them, whatever. But we want to make sure that we're getting our ads in front of those shoppers, keeping your dealership and your inventory that we know that they're interested in top of mind. The other thing too is social, right? If anything, it might be on par with retargeting. And the reason why is, well, people are spending more time on social media than ever. And social is really, really good at targeting shoppers, right? We can use the audiences from Facebook. We can use the audiences from Instagram, whatever, to very specifically target shoppers who are interested in what you have to sell. And it's a great way to generate awareness. You can use video to target those shoppers as well to be more engaging. Really want to make sure that you have a social presence because people are spending more time than ever there. All right, let's go out a little bit further and let's talk about video, right? So video really kind of came around about 5 years ago in the automotive space when it came to advertising, right? We were seeing it on YouTube, but now we're seeing connected video. So that's going to be over the top, right? So somebody on their Roku device, their Apple TV, their Amazon Fire, right? More and more people are cutting the cord. So video, it's been really awesome for a very, very long time in the realm of TV, right? What happens when you turn on a TV in a room? Everybody looks at it. People get, pay attention to video. It's engaging, it's capturing. That's why TikTok and Instagram Reels are taking over the internet. People pay attention to video. So YouTube, it's the number 2 search engine in the world and the number 1 place for people to research vehicles. You want to make sure you're showing your video ads there. OTT. What's cool about OTT, at least in the Cox Automotive world, and I can't really speak to everybody else, is we can identify households who are interested in a specific type of vehicle, and we can show them ads for that type of vehicle on that TV after, just a few hours, if not less. So what the top performing dealerships are doing is they're looking at a total spectrum of advertising channels to target shoppers very specifically. They're using high quality data, including their own first party data, to supplement their audiences and really make sure that they're hitting those shoppers where they are with the right ad at the right time. And also not just an ad for a vehicle that we know that they're interested in, which is honestly kind of old tech, but also showing them an ad based on where they are in that buying cycle. So, all right, they're casually browsing a vehicle, show them an ad for just the dealership. If we know what vehicle they're interested in, show them the ad for the vehicle that they're interested in. If they're ready to buy that vehicle, show an ad for the vehicle with financing options. That drives up the engagement rate with those ads and the likelihood they're going to click through and go to your website. All right, I feel like I'm on a tangent here. I'm trying to think of anything else when it comes to advertising. The other thing too is they are willing to adopt new tech. And so 10 years ago, it was the dealerships, well, actually 14, 15 years ago, it was the dealerships looking to take money out of their traditional media, newspaper, radio, and TV, and put it into paid search, right? Because that was kind of up and coming. And those dealerships, they were able to capture a lot of market share. So they're always kind of keeping an eye and a finger on the pulse of what's next when it comes to digital advertising, and they're willing to take a shot at these different channels to try and capture new markets. And let's jump into the next one. They are willing to invest in new tech. So we talked about advertising, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in this space when it comes to new technologies, new opportunities for dealerships to be more competitive. So a really good example of that is like digital retailing, right? So digital retailing came out in like 2014. And if anything, if you want to call it that, finance applications online came out even further back than that. But we really started to see those like customized payment calculators with real rates coming out about that time. But where we're seeing kind of the next steps are dealerships that digitize their sales process. So what that means is, you've got the digital retailing tool on the website, which is great. It's a lead generator, and they're very high quality leads. But then what they're also doing is using a tool to send every single lead a link to start a deal online. So if they call you, you're immediately getting that person's email address or texting them a link to start their deal online with a pre-penciled deal ready to go, right? And when that shopper does come in, either you're picking up the deal where they left off or starting a deal from scratch digitally and taking them through that process. The other thing that we're seeing in the space right now is dealerships taking control of their data, paying a lot more attention to automated marketing platforms and CDPs. So looking at their consumer database right inside of their CRM or DMS and activating it, whether it's sending one-to-one email messages, direct mail, text messages, or even using lookalike audiences across Facebook, Instagram, paid search to really heavily target those shoppers. And then using that CDP data and that behavioral data to activate salespeople. So integrating that with your CRM. Those are the dealerships that are really kind of taking it to the next level, right? They're investing in the CDP. They're looking at CDP. They're looking at consolidating their data, deduplicating it, and really streamlining their operations. So the other thing too is it's not just they're willing to invest in new tech, they're always looking to improve. They don't want to just sit back and let the paychecks come in because they're in a good location. They're always going to sell cars. The thing is like maybe 20 miles away, you've got a dealership who's going to be more aggressive and more forward thinking. And shoppers these days are willing to drive out of their way to buy that vehicle or buy from a dealership that provides them with a better experience. So just because you've got a great location doesn't mean that you're safe. You have to be pushing yourself in the digital space to provide a better experience for your shopper. Whether it's with your website, whether it's with your advertising, whether it's with your in-store experience, and then also trying to get them back in for service. And we'll cover that a little bit further down the line. So that's it. That was me ranting for, 15 minutes. Hopefully you guys learned something. That's just a kind of a summary of, Noah Lee in 14 years and what I've seen in the digital space. Definitely thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys learned something, and stay tuned. We're going to have some more Dropping Knowledge with Noah coming out soon.
If you're not watching Dropping Knowledge with Noah, you're seriously missing out, bro. Even he knows what's up.